You have one unheard message. First unheard message sent yesterday at 7:15 p.m.
Cold Cuts crew. It's me again, Bateman. Patrick Bateman. Over the last 2 weeks, I've been pursued and hunted by Hamas because of my association with Harris on the Epstein flight logs. They finally got me cornered, and I don't know if I'm going to make it out of here. I need to tell you that what you're about to see is 30 minutes from the Your Movie Sucks and Kyle Edward Ball movie. You can join the Cold Cuts Patreon for exclusive access to the full 3 hours and the entire backlog of Cold Cuts bonus episodes, as well as an invite to the Patreon-only Discord server and many other benefits for just $5. And I wanted to say, before this is over, that I know where Angie's buried. She's at Tyson.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7.
Cold Cuts and movie fans, rejoice. We welcome to the podcast. We have two guests who are friends of the podcast who have been on here before, but things have changed since then. A lot has changed. All of us have gone through trials and tribulations. We're all four different people, and now it's a meeting of the minds. Two of which I would like to introduce, both extremely talented and people who I'm enormous fans of. We have Kyle Edward Ball, who is the famed director of Skinamarink, one of my favorite horror movies to come out last year. And we have Your Movie Sucks, Adam, who is one of my favorite YouTubers, and I do not say that lightly. I have been watching the shit out of your YouTube. I think I texted you something really cringy or DM'd you on Twitter that I was like, bro, I have been watching so much YMS like recently. I had watched a good amount before we had you on the first time, but brother, I have gone down the YMS rabbit hole. I've been watching like some deep cuts on your channel.
There's a lot of classics, bro.
Did you watch the I actually did, and I never do shit like this. I watched because YouTube would something to do with the stream, unless you're a Patreon, you couldn't watch their 420 awards commentary unless you were a Patreon or so. I did something
that's not true.
No?
Well, was it
public.
Struck? No,
I don't know if it was copyright
you
claim,
couldn't watch it at the same time, though. You could just watch your stream of it. So what I did was I literally had the commentary in audio, and then I had the 420 awards playing, and I actually synced them up. So
very nice. Thank you.
That's dope. Well, dude, I mean, first of all, welcome to both of you. Is this the first time that you guys have spoken on like a call before?
We've DM'd, but like we've never just like, hey, Edmonton boy, blah, 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 and that's it.
Yeah.
That is
there
was that brief like Blair Witch project, hey, do you have that? But like, that's it.
Is that like a Bostonian thing where if you're both from there, there's a bond? Is there like a Edmonton culture? Does that make any sense?
Where, I don't want to dox you, but where roughly in Edmonton did you grow up? Like what high school did you go to?
It was between Southgate and Heritage.
Oh, okay. I used to work at Southgate with Mac DeMarco's brother.
What the hell?
Yeah, Hank.
Hank DeMarco?
Hank,
is that his name?
Edmonton?
Yeah. He does ballet.
I actually knew that because Mac DeMarco has a song that he's saying that his like brother is in the ballet. Yeah, that's kind of cute song, actually.
Yeah,
Edmonton's kind of weird, and even weirder for someone to be successful in Edmonton and not leave immediately.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a unique situation, like especially for stuff like the film community, right? Like you can't really necessarily be a working certain type of director or working actor without moving to Vancouver, but I'm kind of lucky in that regard. But we just opened a new LRT line.
What is that?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Does it also suck?
What? No, it's really good, actually. So it goes from Mill Woods to downtown. And instead of like the existing system, there's like lots of stops. So there's like 12 stops. So you can just like if you live in Mill Woods, you can take it and just go travel to like Milburn, Grey Nun, Strathern, before you even. So instead of like the Clairview or Southgate ones where it's just like a funnel to downtown, it's an actual like useful community LRT.
Growing up in Edmonton, I was always perplexed. Basically, when they started doing or expanding their transit system, they had the opportunity to either continue doing it underground, which is what a lot of cities do it above ground, which is what Vancouver does in a SkyTrain.
Yeah.
But instead they decided to do it ground level, save some money in the short term, and pretty much just fuck everything over in the
yeah, like I would say that, but it's like the Valley line, the new one they opened, is fairly good. Like a bunch of like urban planning nerds wrote it at 5 a.m. when it like first opened. And like obviously they're biased, but like it looks to be pretty good. I could see myself using it. So, but I live downtown. Everything I need to go to, I walk to. What high school did you go to, if you don't mind me asking?
Ainley.
Harry. So there's a high school.
No windows.
Yeah, there's a high school in Edmonton on the south side that. No, it used to be a bomb shelter, a Defen bunker.
Yeah. Oh my God.
In the 50s.
And is it underground?
No, that's another. Yeah, you can.
Just had no windows. More. I don't know why. I have no idea why.
That is insane. Dude,
but like after the Cold War cooled down, they were like, well, what else are we going to use this for? So they, I think, turned it into a high school. And also it's named after this, what was he, like a judge named Harry Ainley, and the joke is Harry Anus, right? So
yes.
Powerful. Extremely powerful.
Dude, that's awesome. Dude, something I wanted to bring up, well, with both of you, because I feel like, well, Kyle, the last time we had you on, we were talking about found footage movies, in particular Blair Witch Project. And then by coincidence, I guess, I was watching some YMS, and one of the videos that I was watching, which was cracking me up, was the one where you're talking about The Visit, the M. Night Shyamalan one. And
a classic.
Classic.
Yes.
I love, honestly, one of my favorite things about the YMS channel is just that, like, you take a terrible movie and turn it into an enjoyable experience, because listening to you talk about it is really funny and true. And the point, I never watched The Visit, but I didn't really care to be spoiled. So the point that you brought up about that movie was that you were like, why are you spending more money to make this movie feel less authentic by like...
It's a common problem.
Insane problem. And you brought it up, I think, in the movie Unfriended too. You might have brought that point up. And I just did a rewatch of Blair Witch like last night or 2 nights ago. And which I love. I really like that. I love that movie, honestly. And I was surprised at how scared I was watching it again, and like really like didn't take for granted this time like how well they executed the authenticity of that movie. Like it really, there's not a single missed beat in terms of it feeling like real. You really get the sense that it was found footage.
A lot of people, sorry, I'll let you.
No, you go ahead.
A lot of people think that Blair Witch is overrated, but I really don't feel that way. I think that it really does deserve its place as this monumental, groundbreaking indie film. Especially if you appreciate authenticity, not just in terms of what equipment they used, but also just the atypical way that they filmed and wrote it. The fact that the directors were basically scaring the shit out of the actors, and
it's crazy.
The hiring process is like, you will probably be tortured. You have to be willing to suffer if you want to act for this movie. And there's, plenty of the performances in the movie are just like real emotions from these people that are scared in the middle of the nights in the woods. And we just don't see a lot like that today. Well, there's more opportunity for it today now than ever, now that filmmaking has become accessible You know, it's easier to make a movie than ever in terms of like the equipment that you could get and distribution and stuff. But
yo, call me crazy, but isn't it fair to say maybe part of the reason we don't see movies like that anymore is because, and I do not think found footage is a gimmick necessarily, but the gimmick. Because am I wrong? I think wasn't there a big thing where a lot of people thought it was real first seeing it?
They marketed it that way, yes.
They marketed it that way, and there was a little bit of that, but after the movie came out, like I remember explicitly too, like big kids telling me like, it's not actually real. My brother told me it's not real. And they swear a lot in that movie too, but yeah.
But I can't imagine an audience today being able to suspend their belief enough.
Well, and the internet has changed too, right? Like the internet was kind of in its infancy at that time too. So it was a weird thing where a lot of stuff was still weirdly word of mouth. But coming back to
I think that, sorry.
Coming back to the performances too, like, so when they cast it, they explicitly asked for people who were good at improv. So that was a big thing with it too, is they tried to cast people who would be good at like
making
kind of just volleying it with, right? So,
I think that people are just as gullible, but now there's easier access to information. So you can be disproven from your gullibility easier. But I think that people believe a lot of fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
And the internet has kind of exacerbated that for many people. Now the internet is like an excuse to believe crazier and crazier things for some people.
I think watching... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Zach.
You, my friend. You.
I was going to say, I actually feel like after watching this, like after watching Blair Witch again, which was a movie I already liked, but I kind of watching it again was like, I actually don't know if another found footage movie has hit this watermark, like of being this effectively scary and not feeling like, I don't think there's a single shot in the Blair Witch that feels like, yeah, well, they had to put the movie shot in there to move the story forward. So, they had to make sure that they steadied the camera so you could see this one thing. Like, I feel like every other found footage movie, even ones that I like I like the movie Cloverfield, even though I know that one gets shitted on a lot. But like that one, of course, still has a ton of elements in it where it's like, I mean, okay, that's obviously like no one would mistake this for like a real like found footage film. But like when I was watching Blair Witch, I was genuinely like scared, and I had seen the movie before, and I was like, damn, this movie is fucked up, man. Like it really fucks with you that way.
TJ Miller's on Cloverfield.
Oh yeah,
I didn't realize that, and I saw it. And I was like, "What the fuck?"
He plays HUD. Yeah.
I've always thought it would be interesting to like take the perspective of that movie, but like the drunk chick passed out on the couch, or somebody who like took acid that night. Like, how would they be going through this disastrous event? If they're just fucked out of their mind and they just took drugs at the wrong time.
Well,
I want to know what those characters are.
Part of the reason I love Cloverfield, honestly, is because there's a little bit of a nostalgia thing, because when it was coming out, my friend and I were like obsessed with the viral marketing that they were doing for it. And they had all these websites that were like mysteriously linked. And if you watched there was a whole video diary about that drunk girl passed out on the couch that was like vaguely related to the plot of the movie because she ate some mysterious like fluid or something like that. The slusho. And like I was so into it. And then watching the movie, I wasn't disappointed, but then I was surprised to see like, I feel like I came home and was reading reviews online and it was getting shitted on. And I was like, no, like I like this movie. Yeah.
I liked it a lot when it came out.
But wasn't it the sequel that gets shit on? Sorry, Kyle.
Well,
they were never any true sequels.
It's not a real sequel though. Like it's a part of the Cloverfield universe, but it's not done as a found footage, and is actually I thought pretty decent. John Goodman's
Isn't John Goodman in
performance-
that?
That one was good.
There's two
fucking
Cloverfield
terrifying
sequels.
in it.
He's the
Yes.
Cloverfield monster, or who is he playing?
No,
No,
it's
okay.
it's a
No.
completely separate
That'd be dope.
story. It's the Halloween season of the witch situation where we're just gonna do a different movie and have I think they wanted to tenuously tie them together at some point, which they did with Cloverfield Paradox, I think. But
That movie
Both of the
stunk, though.
Cloverfield sequels were separate movies that were already in production before J.J. Abrams came along and slapped
Is that
Cloverfield.
true? They were
Yeah, Cloverfield Paradox was a completely different movie, and 10 Cloverfield Lane had a completely different ending.
Yo, isn't
before
that
J.J.
true?
Abrams came.
Oh,
Not to get
interesting.
controversial, but
Oh.
isn't that also the case with Prometheus? Am I wrong?
no,
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I
that's interesting.
I don't think so. I think it was always well, I don't know.
I could be wrong.
So
Yeah.
coming back to advertising campaign, like a campaign I vividly remember was, and it was different because from the get-go it was obviously fiction, but the 28 days later campaign was so like they had this whole visual thing where they had like concept art was shared in like these little clips. So it would talk about, okay, so 3 days outbreak, 7 days, and it would have pictures of like the concept art of like people trying to get on a plane and falling off the like thing that attaches, like this, all these vivid images of England falling apart. And this was the era too, I think, of like, oh, watch this clip on Real Player, and you like hit the button, like a thing would come up. But that was a campaign that I
downloading each clip.
Yeah, and you always had to update Real Player, and then I remember too, like just thinking it was so cool the way they shot it on digital video, and it was like that was like an intentional thing that they did, which wasn't necessarily done at the time, and
Bro, I always heard
was,
it was amazing, but it's a zombie movie, right?
Yeah. You haven't seen
Kind
it?
of.
I have
I mean,
not.
yeah,
Everyone
but-
recommends it, but I have not seen it.
I
There's
rewatched
a
it
twist.
recently. It's
You're
still,
saying
still
kind
great.
of. Is there like a twist?
Well, as in they never call them zombies, but it's a zombie movie.
But that's
So
typical
it's
for
The
movies.
Last
They
of
don't.
Us. It's the last.
They don't call them
What?
zombies in Night of the Living Dead either, or Dawn of the Dead.
What-
It's like an
but
unwritten
what made
rule
this-
in movies.
What made this particularly unique, though, and not just them calling them the infected and sticking to the don't call them zombies rule, is I think this is one of the movies that really popularized the fact that they could run really fast. And it wasn't like some sort
that
of like,
always
oh, it's just,
lumbering, like
a lot of the George A. Romero things, it was like, oh, just the dead are alive now. And there might be some sort of like religious reason towards it. Whereas explicitly in 28 Days Later, it was an infection, right? And so they're zombie,
not
we
dead,
still call
right?
them zombies.
They're sick.
Yeah. So they're not dead. Yeah, there is a difference, but yeah, really great movie overall.
it is a good
I think.
movie. Yeah, I watched
I,
it like, I think a couple years ago.
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Kyle, I want to ask you a Edmonton kind of film question
For sure.
that is a bit weird. Feel free.
Oh my
to
god, I'm
not answer.
excited.
But were you like involved in the film community and aware of at the time when the guy tried to kill someone, the director that
I
think he wound up
he wound
up killing one person.
Guy. Okay.
yeah,
So-
and he thought he was Dexter.
Wait,
I want to
what?
be sensitive.
what?
There's a-
Okay, so here's
I
the
know.
thing.
I need the story.
So his name is Mark Twitchell. He
Yeah.
was in a different
There's
program,
a wiki
and
page.
it was
Uh-oh.
before my time too. So I went to the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology and took digital cinema production. It was a relatively new kind of film school program at the time. There was separate to that, there's a program called radio and television, which is more journalism based. And one of the students of that program did something where he was trying to lure someone to his house to kill them and film it.
What?
He was doing it as like auditions. He was like,
And
"Be
I
in my
think-
movie. I'll tie you up." And
he
this
had
will be part of the
a
movie.
obsession with the television show Dexter.
Yeah.
And also lived in Mill Woods, which now has the new LRT line. So
It all comes back.
It all comes back. So the weirdest thing, so this was after I even started. He had done all this before I started my venture at that college. And I wasn't in the same program he was in, but weirdly, the instructors who taught him are more than willing to talk about him. So, like, if you ask the instructors of the radio and television program they're more than willing to talk about him. And oh, yeah, he was odd, but like basically polite and pretty much everything you'd expect, right? And also, his thing was he did Star Wars fan films.
Red flag. Red flag.
Yeah, so yeah, right. So yeah.
Dude, I'd imagine people were very scared to go on auditions after that.
Yeah, one of my friends.
It became like a running joke.
No way.
Like, oh, we're not gonna Mark Twitchell you, haha. Like,
oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and
he basically like he set things up like in his garage, and I think the first person that he tried to kill escaped, and then didn't tell authorities about it because they were like, "Oh, that was weird." Yeah. And then he killed someone else, and then later the first person was like, "Well, okay, this is what happened."
And like, not to make light of it, right? But.
Mm-hmm.
What year about did this happen? Was it like?
I think it was like 2009, 2010.
2009.
A good year. A good year.
A good year. Other than that.
That
was not very good.
That was not good.
That's an insane. That is an insane story. I'm surprised.
So the horrifying thing was when Adam said, "I want to talk to you about a specific person in the Edmonton film community." Like Mark Twitchell wasn't even the first person that popped in my mind. No. Like there's like, I'm not going to name any names, but there's a lot of just not even that, like not necessarily creeps, but just kind of infamous characters like in the film community here.
Edmonton is it's not great in my opinion.
For the film community?
No, just the city as a whole.
But when did you move?
I moved in 2011.
Yeah, like I would say maybe it wasn't the greatest then, but I think the city's grown quite a bit. Like we've finally reached 1 million people. We have a decent and I saw you posted a video so they built the arena downtown.
Yeah, Ice District.
That's been a huge thing. Like now there's actually people downtown, which is nice. So I still love Edmonton. But yeah, if you're basing it off 2011, it's maybe not the greatest city, but I think it's great now.
That is insane. Dude, it's insane, dude.
I do also. I remember
they're still focusing on the Mark Twitchell guy.
I can't help it, dude.
That shit is crazy.
Here, I'll post the wiki in chat.
Oh, here,
okay. So I have a question. I saw in one of your videos you were talking about on your video about your trip to Nashville. You were talking about the different furry communities, and you're like, and there's the Alberta furries, and I was like, what are Alberta furries like?
It's kind of more.
You don't have to say.
Furry is it's a niche community, and especially in 2011, when it's already such a niche thing, and there's an area of lower population, and it's not Vancouver or Toronto or even American City. There's kind of this small town vibe where the more of that, the more you get the stereotypes of 30-something-year-old unemployed computer technician, fat BO. Some people are really bad manipulators, and just the more people, I guess, in a population, the better the furry community is just the general rule, because you get more variety of different types of people. Whereas growing up in Edmonton, I was kind of just stuck with the people that were there at the time. I'm sure it's a very different community now, as the furry thing is getting more and more popular. But
you're saying
in my neighborhood, so I live in Oliver, which is kind of adjacent to downtown, and it's very dense. And every once in a while, I would see this one furry in full fursuit just walking while I was going out for a walk. And like, it took a lot to not be like, I'm sorry, can I hug you? I
mean,
know
if
that's
you ask,
not what,
they might say yes.
They probably will say yes. Why not?
Is that a common thing in the furry community?
Because they're like mascots, right? Like, it's hard not like, sorry, but like.
No,
it depends on the person. It depends on the person.
People might just wear it not to like an event.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person, and it depends what. So there's like events like furry conventions, or there's just like smaller meetups with like friends, and like fursuits can be involved at just like house parties, or like, you know, just anything that's where there's furries around, there could be fursuits.
Does that imagine have a furry convention?
Yes, and I will never go there.
What's
because
it called?
there are too many. It's called Fur-A. FUREH.
Oh, I like
because it's Canada.
Oh, that's cute.
Dude, you know what furry I desperately need to meet in person? I keep seeing this horse with like giant titties. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
There are a million times.
I know exactly who
like,
you're talking
I
about.
We
got to go to a furry event.
This woman.
I would imagine
That's so
wearing.
Don't just assume that Adam knows this person because they're
I do know
also
that.
Yes.
a horse persona.
There's not many that I've seen quite like this.
I'd imagine
It's a crazy
wearing
suit.
your suit frequently, though. I mean, because I'm imagining they get pretty dirty. I'm imagining this is where the term
And you wash it.
husky comes from. I've heard, is that a phrase?
But I mean, like the way that fursuits are made, like if you have like someone who knows what they're doing, first of all, pretty much everybody wears like Under Armour kind of like
skin tight stuff.
Like a
stuff
resilient.
that like regulates your temperature, and then my suit has like a fan in the head. And
that's so fresh.
That's badass. Well, that's I know the Big Bird costume had fans in it. I knew that, but I didn't. It's crazy that you have one in.
That's so
is
it run on batteries?
Yeah.
Well, what else would it run? But
I don't know.
Solar power.
They have a cable running. But like this person walking around in my neighborhood who I saw them from time to time, I'm pretty sure they had a fan because they were walking in the middle of summer. And like, yeah.
It really depends on the person, because there's a very wide range of potential autism in the furry community. There's a lot of it. And, you know, some people, yeah, exactly. Some people really just feel like living that way their entire lives, and it's only physics stopping them, right? So my fursuit is I wore it like a couple times at a convention last week, probably for like 6 hours total, and so like it doesn't smell bad or anything, but I usually just wash it after a convention anyway.
Do you have to go to
a wash it?
Or are you just like,
how do I wash it? With well, so you can hand wash it in a tub, which I tried once, but I have wrist issues, and that
mane
just wound
and tail
up being kind of shitty. Right now it's in a washing machine, but the only washing machine that will not destroy it is one without the like center rotor sort of thing. And so I just put it on like really low settings, like cold water, detergent that doesn't have any kind of like weird stuff in it.
Do you put
nothing
the head
that
in
will
there?
like stick to the fursuit? No, I don't put the head in there.
That was a stupid question. What do you do?
I mean, yeah, no, I imagine you wouldn't wash the head as frequently because it's like, it's not really an area where you're sweating as much. Well,
yeah, so you wear like, in the same way that you wear like the Under Armour stuff on your body, you wear like kind of like a cold like balaclava thing. Like Under Armour makes the same kind of stuff for the head. And yeah, I just, with the fan and everything, it's never like, I'm a really hygienic person, and I care if something's like stinky or weird. So I
didn't
really
imply
on
that.
top of that. And
I
it's
didn't imply
never...
your suit smelled. I don't want you to take it that way. Dude,
No, it's a genuine question. A lot of people, if you're not familiar with the fandom, you might just think like, fucking all furries are smelly or something, but it's really not.
No, dude, these
it's a lot of queer
like
people that are just overly hygienic. Most of
these
it.
fursuits sound like the suits in Dune to me right now. Like they can do so much shit inside of
Wait,
it.
I actually do have a question. I used to see like more photos of this online and maybe what you would call like early internet, and now it seems like this has been phased out. Maybe it's just a fashion thing, but like, do people still wear like face paint prosthetic type material to fur cons, or have those been phased out by fursuits like the ones we're talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, it's like a different... I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if that was ever popular. I tried it once, like a couple different things before I ever had a suit. It was interesting, but I don't know. It kind of gave off like... It looks a bit more weird and uncanny valley and creepy.
It is.
You seen that the goofy guy who used to do that?
Yeah, that one looks weird.
That's what I immediately think of, dude.